Greetings from Sunnyville. Greetings from me, Councillor James. And here we are once again in my music corner in my multi-purpose bedroom, which has become my starting to feel a little bit like a well-furnished, fitted out cell, but it's been 9 months now. So here I am again. Yes, it's now. Oh, it's December now. December the 2nd already. That's crept up quickly, I must say. For me, I don't know about you, but for me it has. And I was starting to think now. Actually, think about Christmas, and it sort of dawned on me yesterday night when I was locking up for the night and looking out my front window and seeing some of my neighbours' lovely Christmas lights and things, and one of them was even hanging out of the window, upstairs window, putting out a nice Christmas light display along sort of front of the house, which looked a bit hairy, but it was worth it. It looks very nice. I must say we've never done that here. I don't know why. I'd love that. I'm a big kid when it comes to Christmas. It's not so much the presents or things like that. It's just I love the Christmas, the feeling and the music and the carols and the decorations and I think this year maybe you're the same as me, maybe not, maybe you're the opposite, but this year I think I'm looking forward to it more than ever because of what's been happening, or not been happening for so long. So that's great. That's great. I don't know what we're going to do about a tree this year because we usually have a very nice fake tree, which has served us well for many years. But I think it's reached. I think we realised last year, or the year before actually, that it reached the end of its life. I don't think we actually had a tree at all last year, which I didn't like at all. I have to have a Christmas tree of some type, just doesn't feel right, does it, not having one? If you're used to, I suppose. But even then, I remember we started getting very nice fake ones, but still, I wasn't saying there's not the smell, the pine smell. Yes, I know the pines can be a pain in the what, dropping off and having to hoover them up and everything. And if you've got animals in the house, that can obviously also present problems. I must say the cats in our house love the tree. That's partly why it's no longer usable, because one of them, bless her, one or two of them, delight in climbing up the branches, which are also just thin metal rods, which are just all bent out of shape now. So bless their little socks. So I'm not sure what we're going to do about a tree, but I'm looking forward to it. I must say, I really am. And New Year's, and today there was news out. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, there's been so many contradictory things about the vaccine and one of the vaccines, the Oxford AstraZeneca one, which is supposed to be the sort of the first one possibly rolled out, that it might be rolled out quite soon. I think it said I saw that it had been given approval now, so that's to be rolled out, so that's good. I know there is a bit of an anti-vaccine movement that seems to have popped up, so I think there's going to be trouble. I think there's going to be a lot of people who won't take it or don't want to take it. Not sure how I feel about that. I don't know. It's. I think the problem is, isn't it? It is so many times during all of this we've been promised things, or things have been said by officials and the government and ministers and things about PPE right at the beginning, and amounts of PPE, and then testing, and then test and trace, the app and everything else, which all just crumbled away almost immediately, and it became apparent that none of it was as as was being presented, to put it politely. And I think people, that sort of distrust, which is now built up in people's minds, is sort of there now, isn't it? So I understand why people are questioning more than they perhaps would be. I mean, look at all the stuff, all the protests all over Europe and everywhere about the just lockdown rules and the tier thing. Here in Wales, it's been slightly different from England. We haven't had all the sort of different sort of tier stuff that I've noticed really. I did notice that so we had a 2-week lockdown officially in Wales. I think during last month in November, and then yesterday I noticed that Mark Drakeford, who's the First Minister of Wales, speak clearly, of Wales, Welsh Labour, gave a press conference where he said something like wet pubs will be banned from serving drinks, I think, at some point in the near future. So there's more going on now here. And I've seen all the sort of all the debate and upset in England about the different tiers being imposed in different parts of the country. How the north seems to be getting, in some people's view, an unfair deal compared to London. But such is politics, I suppose. I can understand why people feel that way. But for me, a vaccine that works would be great. It would be very nice to get out and about. And that leaves me on, that's my segue now, to my main topic today, which is lockdown hobbies. Getting through lockdown. How have we got through it? Those of us that have been self-isolating and shielding these other things for all this time. How? If you're living with other people, other adults, for the whole time, like I have been, I'm quite surprised that we're all going to come out the end of this largely unscathed. Because, of course, 3 adults in one house, no matter how much you love each other, how well you know each other, with not really any of us apart from me, every now and again going out for a short walk is about it. Very short walk. Yeah, not good. Really not good. So, arguments and things, little things and things you wouldn't usually sort of let get to, of course. I'm not sure you know about, probably the same with you. Of course, become annoyances. But I think we've done quite well, really. I'm quite proud of us that we've come through thus far so well. But yes, hobbies. Well, here I am, like I say, in my music corner. Well, that's not entirely representative, because this sort of half of the, you can't see behind, obviously this is my tablet here on all that Amazon Kindle thing, but sort of half this end of my room is my sort of music corner, because that's my main hobby really, apart from usually being out and about and just talking to people, meeting new people, travelling around North Wales. I love popping on the bus and just enjoying the ride and seeing the view and talking to people I don't know. Yeah, that's what I like to do. But as I haven't been able to do that, I suppose I've been delving more and more into my sort of love of music, and that's manifested itself mostly in making music or learning or trying to teach myself to make music. I've listened for years, I've collected for years, and I've got a nice little collection over there of sort of classical music, opera, and classic rock and classic pop and all that. I love all that, you know. A little hi-fi over there. I've got my bookshelf and all my books too. Well, my problem is my bookshelves, although they're very big, it's about 8 foot tall bookshelf. I've got so many books. They're all over the room. Towers of the blooming things. As you'd expect, a man who's spent 10 years on and off at university and before that trying to educate himself. So yeah, you can't really avoid having the stacks of books. But yeah, here I am, music corner. So what I do basically of a day is I've got my guitars here. There's one here you can see. This is my nylon strum, my sort of classical one, and then I've got an acoustic one there, and I've got a sort of a Stratocaster copy, and they're both Encore, which is a very cheap old British manufacturer. The sort of copies, homages they call them to the real deal, the real thing. That's a sort of 40 quid thing off of Amazon some years ago. None of them are great guitars. In fact, they're very difficult to play because they're cheap. So you know you got to really sort of, I like to mess around with them a lot, so I can actually do chords cleanly and things like that. But you know, that's what I do. So I fiddle with them and try and get them working, which is fun. I enjoy that sort of stuff, the hands-on stuff. The fake Stratocaster that I've got, the Encore one, I got that off eBay. I think it was about 40 quid. And then when it arrived, I realised, because you couldn't see it on the pictures, the photographs, it wasn't good enough. I realised that it had significant things, problems. I mean, it was just I had to totally take it apart. I had to refill all the holes, all the sort of screw holes and everything, with peg and glue them, and then sort of sand them down so that I could drill and re-screw the holes. Basically, I had to get new hardware and all sorts for it because it was just rusted and knackered really. But I was lucky because the electrics worked all nice and clean, so I've had to solder and all sorts of things, teach myself how to solder cleanly. That's important. I shall hear it through your amplifier and things if you're amplifying your guitar. So that's great. I love that. And I've got my little sort of guitar method book. And unfortunately, being the sort of obsessive personality that I am, you can't just stick with one thing. I've got that's expanded now. Well, over the past 3-4 years, I've got a digital piano there, Yamaha, over there behind the camera. You can't see that, which I've had that longer than any of this stuff. I've had that about 13 years, which it was the first instrument I taught myself to play, although I had been playing keyboard pianos since high school, back in the mid-late 80s, and then stopped because we didn't have one. We didn't have anything like that at all, couldn't afford anything like that. So I had to wait until, unfortunately, my grandparents passed away, and they left me just enough in their will to get my digital upright piano. So that's lovely. I do love that. That's my prized possession, I suppose. The thing I use the most, thing I teach myself on. I've taught myself on for so long. Taught myself to read music. Because I got the piano and I thought, oh, actually, you don't know how to read music. So it's been a bit of a journey, to say the least, to be honest, trying to work out how to sort of go about it. And then that spiraled on from what I've got now. I've got a violin, which I started teaching myself to play about 3 years ago, was it? Or two years ago, something like that. And then last Christmas, I got myself a lovely student flute. So student violin, student flute. Again, both off eBay, both nice and cheap, but they work just about. So I can get the basics. I did also have again off eBay, a second-hand trumpet, Mostly because I wanted to learn how these things work. You know, I'm one of those people. I can't just use something. I like to know how it works, and the mechanics of it. So I was starting to teach myself to play that, and was doing quite well actually. I was surprised myself, um, how fast I was developing and how well. But I think it was a step too far. I realised it was noise wise. It was a step. It was a bit. You know, I was taking the you know what, the Michael. I think, as far as my family and neighbours were concerned. So that's gone, unfortunately. So one day when I got my own space, maybe, and I'm not going to offend anybody with it, I might do that. You know, take that up again. And then lately, I've decided to teach, or try and teach myself, to sing properly. I did belong to a local choir for a while. I think it's more than a year we were together. A few years ago, which was fantastic fun. I'd recommend it to anyone if you're not part of a local choir and you've got one and you've been umming and ahhing about joining one. I'd highly recommend it. It was fantastic. It was the highlight of my week, to be honest. That was fantastic. So, but unfortunately, that didn't continue on. I don't know why, but we are no more. We are no more. So anyway, that was a few years ago now. So yeah, I thought I'll try and remember what we did and try and teach myself again, sort of the basics really. So that's my hobby. That's what I do mostly of an evening. Obviously, aside from being a counsellor, community counsellor, and what I need to do there for my residents, you might just want to chat or might need some real serious help. So I'm here at, well, that could be daytime, evening, whenever, you know, I can be contacted. And obviously the meetings and things. So, yeah, that's mostly what's going on with me. But I wonder so I was sitting there thinking, I wonder what other people do or have been doing to keep themselves on the sort of as sane as possible on the straight and narrow as much as they can during all of this. Do you perhaps play a lot of video games? You know, is there a particular game that you love? I know years ago I used to play lots and lots of Gran Turismo on my PlayStation, which I sold when I started the law degree, or was into it for some way. I thought I'm going to have to get rid of this because I know me, I'm going to be playing games till God knows what time at night or into the morning when I should be sleeping or studying. You know. And I think it was a good idea because I think that's exactly what would have happened. So, but maybe, you know, is that what you enjoy? What else? I mean, you know, are you usually got a sports? Are you an amateur sports person? Do you like actually going out and physically, you know, playing a bit of tennis or I don't know, a bit of football? Maybe a bit of windsurfing. I know that happens here on the beach. I've seen that. And there's the is it a kite shop, windsurf shop that's there. Maybe it's something a little more traditional, like I don't know, sewing, knitting. That can be very calming, can't it? I've tried that as well. I've tried knitting. I wasn't very good. All my holes are different sizes. No matter what I tried to do, I had funny sized holes. I thought this isn't really my. I don't think I've got the knack for this. So I'm always very impressed by someone who can knit well. I must say, my mum was fantastic at knit. My mum can do. Again, amazes me because I can't do this stuff. I haven't got the flair for it. She can just sort of turn her hand to anything like that: crocheting, knitting, making sort of miniatures and things, and it's just unbelievable. She makes sort of miniatures of 1/12 scale dresses and hats and things like that for dolls' houses and things, which are very high quality. Got herself a bit of a reputation actually in those sort of circles. That's I'm a renowned maker for a Hogwarts, but I can't do that. I'll be hopeless, absolutely hopeless. But maybe that's the sort of thing you sort of do, or painting or photography. I've got a good friend who's a fantastic photographer. Absolutely loves it. Again, I've done that myself in the past. Really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, at the time, because needs were pressing and my pocket was empty, or our pockets were empty, I had to sell my my beloved sort of camera and lenses and kit and everything, which absolutely at the time tore my heart out. To be honest, I spent years painstakingly, getting what I could afford and collecting it and taking pictures and things. So getting my eye in, as they call it. So that was a long time ago now. But I'd like to do that. I think I'll enjoy that. Painting, I used to do a bit of painting. Calligraphy. Have you ever tried calligraphy? I used to do calligraphy. Not bad at it. Need a bit of practice if I wanted to get back into it, I suppose. I've got all the stuff somewhere from a few Christmases back, but I don't know where I've put it. Same with painting, actually. Yeah, I'm not bad at those. I must admit. Will I blow my own trumpet? Well, I can't now, can I? Stand with it. Been over that. I do enjoy a bit of that. Yeah, so many things you can do, isn't there? Yeah, quizzes. I used to love. Oh, pub quizzes. I really miss a pub quiz. I really do. That is one of my favourite things to do. Really is. I don't know why. I just absolutely love it. I love a quiz. I don't know what. Especially team quizzes. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a prize. I just love a team quiz. That's my coffee. Put goes too cold. Yeah. And what I've got here. Let's see. And amongst playing my instruments, I collect music. So I read a bit of Mozart there. Violin Concerto number 5. So I actually read the music. There we go. So what I mean by read music is I don't actually sort of sit at an instrument and play it. I actually sort of sit and read it, like you read a book. And that's partly to help with my sight reading, but also to build the sort of processes in my brain, in my neurons, so that you read it, you process it, and then hopefully, if you're sort of been doing it long enough and you're sort of concentrating enough, you can sort of hear, in a way, in your mind's eye, you can hear what you're looking at, without the actual music playing. So I do that. I'm getting quite good at that. So I've got a bit of a little library of Mozart piano concertos, all of Beethoven's, symphonies, all sorts of things, even operas. This tablet is sitting on a stack of music scores, study scores they're called, which are like a little book-sized thing, But it's the whole sort of whatever work it is. It's the whole orchestra score, basically. So that's fun to do. Or sometimes I'll read it and put my headphones in and listen along, But I'm one of those people. Yeah, I don't like just doing something. I like a bit of a challenge, I like to challenge myself to actually learn to do something new, or develop a skill that perhaps I've got that I could build upon. Memorising. Do you know what I used to do a lot, actually? I haven't done it for a while, but what I used to do when I was sort of 16 onwards, just after I left school, I don't know why I started doing this, but I used to buy cheap books because there was a second-hand bookshop that that used to sell older, antiquated books, but for not much money. And I'd go there sort of once a year on my birthday with me sort of 20 quid in my pocket from my family. and I've still got quite a few of them now actually. And I buy older books, So, but I particularly buy poetry and Shakespeare and old editions of that. I have no idea why. I just used to buy them, and then on the bus back, and I'd get home, and I'd read them, but I'd memorise. I'd specifically try and memorise the verse. I don't know why. That's just something I used to do, and that was funny because it was a sort of a hobby for me, or something to do, because I knew I was, I don't know, doing something, developing a skill I hadn't got, trying to develop my memory and things like that. But also, it's nice stuff to sort of remember and impress people with now and again with a bit of a bit of a broadside from Shakespeare, or any of the great writers. I've gone blank. So, bit of Byron, bit of Shelley, bit of Tennyson. It's bit of Marlowe. A little bit. I mean, there's so many. Particularly poetry and things like that, and poems and things. I used to do that a lot, and funnily enough, that really actually going from just a bit of a hobby or thing to do, that really turned out to be a bit of a godsend, because leaving school at the age of 16 with very, very little on paper, very little on paper, to virtually nothing. Nothing of any use, because it was school then straight onto YTS, because it was either YTS or the army. I tried the army wouldn't have me because of my asthma, which I'd had since I was born. Unfortunately, they took a year to decide if they did or didn't want me, and then in the end decided because of the asthma. I sort of lucked out there, because just at the time, if they'd said yes, I would have finished my basic training just in time to go to the first the Gulf War back in 91. So yeah, I sort of dodged that really, unwittingly. I was absolutely gutted. The last year of high school, all I could think about was joining the army. I was absolutely fixated on that. So that was a big shock. But like I say, so now I'm on YTS. Although I know I had a few jobs for that. I had been a bit of a dog's body on a building site, and then become a brickies labourer and the hod carrier and all that sort of stuff before I got onto YTS. But that only lasted, I think it was the 4 months before the Christmas after I left school, over the Christmas and into the New Year. But I realised I didn't want to do that anymore, because that was bloody physically hard, really physically hard. In Staffordshire, up in the hills, in the middle of winter, cold, hard, difficult. I thought I was going to die for the first month, to be honest. Lugging those hod full of bricks and stuff up and down London. Anyway, so yeah, I fell into that after that, buying the books and memorising things, and then that, funnily enough, because one of the things I couldn't do very well when I left school, because it'd been such a disaster at school for various reasons, my reading and writing was nowhere. I couldn't write anything that was legible, made any sense. My spelling was just horrendous. My grammar was horrendous, non-existent. My poor mum I used to write things being, she used to sort of burst out laughing, not on purpose, it was just so awful. And my reading was worse, because I'd never sort of got the knack. So doing that really helped with my reading, because of course it's got a rhyme, so it's got a rhythm to it, iambic pentameter in the verse, particularly Shakespeare. So without knowing it, I was helping myself. And then after years of doing that, reading it, getting to sort of love it really, memorising it at the same time, I think unwittingly it helped me in all of those things, so that when I was older and eventually reached mature student age, which I think was only past 25 or something, I could then start to actually read and write well enough to go on to college, further education, and then on out into the 10 years on and off at university, and then on to now the PhD and everything. So that just by chance, because I enjoyed doing it, I think that's the main thing that really sort of saved me, and then led on to now and where I am now, really. So yeah, that is an important one. So if you're like me, I'm still a slow reader. I don't find it easy to read. I'm quite slow. Sort of read. I can read it, but I'm slow, sort of taking it in and retaining it. Again, because I think I didn't pick up I didn't practice it. I didn't get the knack as a kid, as a younger man. Unlike a lot of my family, my mum's an avid reader. She can read things so quickly, books and things, get through them. They're all there because that's what she did as a child. They didn't have TV when she was a kid, so they'd read. My brother's a bit like that. My sister too. My nieces, one of my nieces is very much like that. Loves the Harry Potter books and things like that. I mean, if someone asked me to read a Harry Potter book, I'd never get through the thing. I really wouldn't. I'm a good, jumper in and picker out of bits. I'm not very good at reading an entire cover-to-cover book. But then I don't have many books like that. A lot of my books are sort of reference books and to do with higher education and things. So yeah, there we are. That's half an hour. I've rambled on. I just thought I'd do this one a bit of a different topic today, rather than talking about politics and all that sort of stuff, which a lot of people don't want to hear about. But yeah, what do you like to do? What have you been doing? What do you intend to do that you haven't been able to do during all of this when it's all over? What do you look forward to going back to doing and with friends, groups and colleagues? But so yeah, please comment down below, like and subscribe. Tell me what you think. I'd love to know. Always read comments if there are any and respond. So ciao for now. Take care. Stay safe and see you a bit close to Christmas.